Welcome to the NYXUS Podcast. Your host, Melany Nyx. You guys know me by now. Let's meet Tim, Mothman, from the man Emissary. How you
Hey,
doing, Tim?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys?
I'm good, good. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's great to be
Thank
here.
you again to Benjamin, Metal Online Promo, for sending me some awesome people.
Yeah, we work with some great people, and we appreciate Ben for sure.
Ben is amazing. He's constantly working with me to try to fit you guys and have you guys on interviews, and he's
Yeah,
a good guy. He's
yeah, definitely.
So, let's talk about the band. Where are you guys from? What kind of genre of music? What are
Sure,
we talking about tonight?
sure. So we started the band, which we call the classic lineup, um, in around 1993 in Southern Oregon, in Medford to be exact. I was going to college up there, and I had just moved up from San Francisco Bay Area to go to college, and I was majoring in theater arts and stuff, and I wanted to learn a lot of the stage stuff, backstage stuff, because before that I had worked for Bill Graham Presents in the Bay Area and got to work with some great Grateful Dead, Metallica, and some bands like that, and I wanted to kind of learn more than just be a guy that loads stuff and fixes dressing rooms up. I'd rather learn a little bit more and be a little more instrumental in the shows being set up. And so I was there, and I walked into a record store called Music Head, and our lead singer Jimbo was working, and I was a guy with long hair, and he was a guy that was into metal, and he just started talking to me, and I forget what the conversation was, and then I just said, "Hey, I'm just by myself. I have some riffs." Kind of, I didn't say I'm learning how to play guitar, because why would I say that? But I was kind of learning how to play guitar at the time, and I just said, "Do you know anybody, any singer?" And he's like, "Well, I write lyrics, and I have some, I do some vocals, and I play some drums and stuff." And so then we decided to get together. Now he was in a garage band called Emissary, basically a garage band in Vegas, in about '89 when he was in high school, and we were talking about band names and the idea of a band name and stuff. And he was going through an old folder, and I see this. It was fairly crude, not in a negative way, but it was just very loose
Yeah.
Emissary logo, and I was like, "Stop right there! That's metal. I like that." Since then we've had it really cleaned up and perfected. But when I saw that, and I love, an emissary is a messenger, and we like to be the messengers of metal, if you will. So Jim calls that the pilot episode. That first 1989 band, just a bunch of guys just getting together and playing a couple parties. But when I saw the logo and the name, that's where it all started.
Very cool. Emissary. Do you know the meaning? Do you know how he came up with the name?
I don't know necessarily why he chose the name. It's just all I know that is that an emissary is a messenger, somebody that brings news to the king or to the whoever. And
Yes.
I like to think that we're messengers too, because we definitely have a message in all of the lyrics that Jim writes.
Tom Rudsey in the house saying, "Yo, bro, what up, bro?"
Todd, I went to elementary school with Todd. Or
That's
not
pigeon.
elementary, middle school with Todd.
Very
He's
cool.
my metal brother.
Very cool. And Death Pigeon in the house, always here to support.
That's wonderful.
Um, how'd you learn to play guitar? Like, where did you get a guitar when you were young and you started learning, or?
You know, I'm not. I don't want to age myself, but there was a point in the beginning of HBO when HBO became a thing. Somehow they had a Kiss concert on there, and it might have been the Love Gun tour. It was an early tour, and I could not take my eyes off of that. And I was probably in sixth grade, maybe fifth grade, maybe even fourth grade. I don't know. My older sister I followed her. Whatever music my sister was listening to, I would sneak in and take her albums when she wasn't there, and I would listen to those, and I would kind of follow her lead on that. And Kiss was her band. And right when I saw them live, I was like, that is what I'm doing with my life somehow. And I ended up getting a drum set. So I started playing drums, and I didn't have a good kit. It was like a Toys R Us. They don't really have all the pieces, a pretend hi-hat, a snare, one tom, and like a kick drum. And you can't do much with it, but I really wanted to play drums. And then since I never was able to get, because they were too expensive to get a big reel kit,
It's
I
not
ended
like
up
today. Like
yeah.
today, you can get affordable
Right,
kits.
you could go, yeah, $200. I could go get a kit.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, there weren't enough music stores and places to get them, and I didn't have the resources as a little kid to do that. So I think
Absolutely.
I was about 12, and my mom got me a just a little black cheap guitar. I still have that guitar. It doesn't work, but I still have that guitar, and it looked a lot like Kirk Hammett's ESP guitar that he plays. Just a basic black guitar. So I thought that was cool. But then she got me a Flying V in 7th grade too. After that, and then all I did was know how to play one string. I didn't know how they made the sounds. I just would play, Smoke on the Water and Iron Man and all of the songs all guitar players play. But I would play on one string. Basically, I was playing bass on a guitar. I didn't know, and I was over at my friend's house, and his brother was like, "Dude, if you stick your other finger here, just move 2 frets up and go to the next string. That's a power chord." Right when he showed me that, it was over. That was going to be my career forever, because now it's now I have that sound, and I can play stuff off of Master of Puppets, and I couldn't play it well, but I mean I could mess around and play those songs, and I was a big Rush fan, so I was trying to learn Rush stuff, and that was really hard to play. So about 12, 13, I started playing and got more into it, and then I derailed myself a little bit with some choices I made as a teen, and kind of put the guitar aside for a while.
Yeah.
And then after a cycle of in and out of rehabs and jail and boarding schools, once I got out of all that and I had a clear head, I picked the guitar up again, and I said, this is what I want to do with my life. So when I moved to Oregon, that's when I went up and met Jim. So yeah, it was throughout my teens, and I wanted to play all the instruments because I think they're all cool, all rock band instruments. I was like, I'm not going to play keyboards. I'm not going to do any of that. I do play keyboards now, of course. I play little keys, but nothing special. But yeah, so I would say 11 and 12 is when I really was like, okay, I'm going to be a guitar player.
Nice. Death Pigeon says, "Ooh, love me a Flying V," right?
Yeah, right.
It's weird for me. I'm speaking to a guitar player right now, and you're not. The last 2 or 3 guitar players I've been speaking to always sit there with their guitar. It's like their shield, like they can't.
Sure.
So I'm like.
Mine. I do have one back here, and I have them all over the walls here. But I do. I'm a lead singer as well. I'm in 3 tribute bands in Denver. So, and I'm the lead vocalist of that. I'm in an Offspring tribute, a James Addiction tribute, and a new Linkin Park tribute. And so I'm more known as a lead singer here in this world. The Emissary world, I was known as a guitar player up until about 96, 97-ish, because we started another band after that. And then I really wasn't focused on guitar until about 5 or 6 years ago, till I picked it up again. I got in an original band, and they needed me to sing and play guitar, so I did that. But yeah, I had set it down for a while. I played bass for years in cover bands and sang, and then I just went to straight lead singing in cover bands. And so I was in cover bands and tribute bands, and I'm in another original band.
I mean,
aside from Emissary.
music is your life.
It really is. I chose that after Emissary. I really wanted to stay away from original stuff. So when I had moved from Oregon to Colorado, and I was just like, I want to make money. And there was a great cover band in our town that Jim and I and the guys used to go out and see all the time. They were the most amazing musicians, and their covers were spot on. Like, they were mind blowing. And I said, I want to do what the bass player does. I want to learn the bass stuff, do some of the singing, and make some money. And I did that. So I moved here, and I did that, and we were touring and played 50 weeks a year, and played about five nights a week back then. So it was really full time and a lot of travel and stuff. So I was known as really a singer after the Emissary thing up until about 2020, when we started kind of talking about the Emissary thing.
Because that's Emissary took a break. You guys were playing together. Were you guys touring and everything, and then you had to put everything on hold?
Well, what we did was, so near the end of Emissary in about 96, all the shows we were playing, we played some great shows too, in front of a lot of people, but we were playing with bands like the Cherry Poppin' Daddies and, bands that weren't in our genre. And metal became a bad word. And I remember there was a point that they wouldn't even say metal. They would say aggressive rock band Emissary. And we even changed our name for a minute. And we even went all the way to change our logo to this like typewriter font with like a mustard colored oval. Like we were trying anything.
You guys were trying just not to push the metal too much anymore. Try to kind of maybe cover it up with those,
Well, we just wanted to figure out how to stay together. It was tough. We were like, we can either go alternative or we can go Pantera. And I know people get sick of this term, but Pantera waved the flag of metal still during that time, and they did. And we did some of that. We do. There are some MP3s out there of us drop D sounding a little Pantera-ish. And although it was a little fun and it was interesting to write that stuff, it just didn't fit us. And then me and the bass player in Emissary, we started kind of a Alice in Chains style band just because we wanted to play shows and stuff. And I like Alice in Chains. They were one of those bands that I really liked Alice in Chains. So we did that for a while, and that kind of, and then Jim was like, okay, this kind of isn't working. So he kind of moved to Portland for a while. Then he moved to LA, and and our drummer left to be in a cover band at one point. So at one point, we're a 5-piece, the classic lineup, and then all of a sudden we're a 3-piece opening for Dawkins and the Cherry Poppin' Daddies and other bands I can't think of. But it wasn't even fun being a 3-piece because we're metal, man. I need that rhythm guitar underneath. And
absolutely.
And it just, and no offense to bands that can do it. There are the 3-piece. Rush is my favorite band of all time.
That's your personal opinion. That's you. That's
my opinion is I don't like when it's just bass underneath the guitar solo, personally. So that it was important to me to have that. But so we tried to keep Emissary together as much as possible. Then Pete and I started the Alice in Chains style band. We were doing well too. We were getting attention and playing shows. But then I kind of was asked if I would move from Oregon. Because my dad took a job in Denver, and my family, we were kind of close at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm done with college here. The music's not working out that great. The guys in the band, in the second band I was in, were going to come move out to Denver, and we were going to keep going. But it just, the logistics didn't work out. So that's when I started the cover thing. But so we took that break. I think Jim put a couple emissaries together here and there, and they played some of the music for a while. And I don't think they did that much. And then it was 2020 or 21, I don't remember, right in the middle of COVID, where we basically said, I was talking to our drummer. We were just like, what if we recorded some of the stuff? Because it was good stuff just for fun for us. Recorded it now that we have technology and we can do that. And then we also were talking about what if we got together one summer, we all met in Oregon and just did a show in somebody's backyard, drank some beer and just talked about old times and had some fun. Maybe even a little club show just for fun to see if we can get old Emissary people out. And all of a sudden Jim put that online. Hey, would anybody care if Emissary got back together and kicked the tires? And all of a sudden we got a message from a label in Germany that says, hey, we know who you guys are. We have your tapes from the 90s. We'll sign you guys and put out your album if you guys want to record a full-length album. And then we're like thinking about that, and then a producer hits us up that Jimbo knew, and he's like, if you guys are doing that, I want to produce you, like record and mix you guys. And this guy happened to have done the last Helmet album in 2017. He's worked with Mastodon, and just like his resume, I'm just like, wow. And then we're working with a guy that works with Metal Blade bands doing our mastering, and all this stuff came together. And then all of a sudden when we're talking about that, okay, we'll do that. Our little backyard show turned into, hey, would you guys like to open for Tesla at the fairgrounds? Oof. In front of like a lot of people on the first night of their tour since COVID had started. And we're like, yes. So it was all these things that came into, I call it a God thing. Some people don't like me calling it that, but all these things came into place when my other band, I'm in another band, and that band, this is another original band on another label. we had these tours set up with, Quiet Riot, Molly Hatchet, Saliva, all these things set up, and then COVID knocked it all down. All my dreams, were about to happen, and then they got shut down, and then Emissary comes knocking on the door, and I had always felt we had unfinished business. Always felt like that stuff was good. I didn't know how good because I was a kid when I wrote it, and I didn't know a lot of stuff. I was learning how to play guitar in the beginning of the Emissary days. I was reading books, and I took one lesson and said, show me how people solo. I don't understand how that works. Do they memorize what sounds good, or is there like a pattern or a scale? And he's like, oh, there's a scale. It's the pentatonic here. And he showed it to me, and I was like, boom, okay, now I can do this. Now I can write stuff. And then the song The Silent Treatment on Wretched, that's my first guitar solo ever.
It just proves that you don't quit. You just keep going, and you keep trying, and you keep trying.
I couldn't. I had some opportunities, and I wasn't privileged, but I had some good opportunities. My dad was an NFL coach, and I worked in the NFL for a lot of years, and I actually worked in Major League Baseball too. And I was on a path, if I had wanted to become a coach or a general manager or whatever. And I if I could have stuck with that, I probably would have done that. But music just kept sucking me in, and it's the thing that makes me truly happy. So I may not be rich and famous, and I may on Sundays see people I know, friends of mine growing up, that are actually head coaches in the NFL right now, and they're all millionaires. And I look at them with a drop of jealousy, but I know that I made the right choice. So it was really, back to the Emissary part, it was really a thing. The stars aligned perfectly right when my other band got shut down. Pete, our bass player in Emissary, was also in that other band. We're kind of stationed in Denver, but we play mostly in New York and Vegas throughout the years we were together. And so definitely the getting back together, we healed relationships. The typical lead guitar player, lead singer thing between Jim and I, although we were best friends and finished each other's sentences, we were very competitive with each other in a lot of different areas. And I think that caused a little bit of a rift. Me playing in another band, I feel like caused a little bit of, I'm not going to say jealousy because he doesn't like that kind of music, but just a little bit of, what about me maybe? Just like I felt in other areas when I felt like I wasn't included. So healing those long phone calls, like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of talking about old times and saying, yeah, I can see how I might have been wrong or a jerk in that area. And we would all be doing that. And then, so now after this and a couple members coming and going, because our original drummer lives in Alaska and it was too tough for him to come here and travel. So we grabbed the guy from that cover band I was talking about that we were so impressed by. We got that drummer. He said yes to joining us, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, wow, this could really work. And then you can hear the Crystal Witch, which he's on that one. So that is to tie together, the Emissary story. We are back simply because we buried the hatchet on a lot of old things, and it was the exact right time. And something in the stars said, it's your guys' time.
Good music never dies.
It can't, yeah.
You just keep going.
Yep.
All right, let's go for a fun question.
If
you could have a superpower, Tim, what would you have?
Wow, I feel like kind of like a contestant Miss USA pageant or something, because I'm probably going to say something like that. I don't know. I would probably, if I could handle it, absorb everybody's depression and just lock it up in some kind of special superhero chamber or box and allow everyone to see the world as I do.
That's beautiful. And I say that like truly genuine with good heart. The NYXUS Podcast is a home, is a safe haven for people that want to talk about mental health issues. We had a full week about mental health issues. Conversations, full hours, 3 hours one night. Just people talking together, shooting shit and, telling each other like their problems. And it was very therapeutic.
It's a beautiful thing. I had bouts of depression and also addiction. And, you know, right now I just got involved in a Linkin Park tribute band, and we have a debut next month, and I do all the Chester stuff. And reading through the Chester lyrics and knowing, you know, he took his own life a few years ago due to depression, reading his lyrics and learning them and then screaming them in rehearsals, it's therapeutic to me. And I really, I've never felt the music as much as I do right now, singing his pain and screaming his pain, because I saw something on Wikipedia and some videos too, and his life really aligned with mine, like eerily a lot. And I didn't read that until just recently. I didn't see all of that. My wife even sent me a link to that stuff, and she's like, whoa, check this out. You don't think you were meant to be Chester in a Linkin Park tribute? Check this out. And it's it's all meant to be. Again, it's meant to be. It's going to be therapeutic for me to get on stage and scream the stuff, and gets a lot out of me, and hopefully it touches some other people, you know.
It does help. Music does help, whether it's doing it yourself or listening to music. I mean, when I'm feeling sad, happy, whatever I'm feeling, music pulls me out.
Well, that's it with me, and people know this about me. I'm not a fan of parody music at all, and I'm not a fan of parody songs. I can appreciate them. You know, Weird Al's fine, because Weird Al, you know, he's just, this is where I'm coming from. I'm goofy. You know, I don't choose to listen to that, but I get it and I appreciate it. But bands, when they do their song that's not necessarily silly, but just like, you know, I hate everything about you, or used to love her, had to kill her, or she bleeping hates me, or songs that don't have like a real meaning behind it, I struggle with, and I don't like. And there's one band I just don't like, and everybody is like, what is your problem? Why don't you like Steel Panther? I'm like, I hate Steel Panther. I don't. They're good musicians, but they're making fun, and I know you. It's not they're making fun of the whole genre, but they're tongue in cheeking it, and it just irks me, man, because that's my stuff, and you're gonna start writing songs and singing about balls and all of these cliches about the music business. I get that, but for me, if it's for you, that's great. Anybody that loves it, that's great. I personally, it bothers me because of how much music means to me, and how much, like, I remember going to Rush concerts before they retired. Like, my wife would look at me and like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm better than okay. And I'm like, I'm crying at a Rush show during certain songs. And like they start the song, The Mission. Oh my God, there I go. And because I feel it all, and everything means something to me from a different part of my life. So, you know, I get goosebumps during the Emissary shows, even listening to the Emissary stuff still. And I'm not saying I give myself goosebumps, but what we created together means so much to me that music just, man, it gets me, man. And when anybody makes light of it, you know, again, there's a place for it.
I mean, I'm the same way. I could be in a full-out metal concert and just start crying during a, like, super metal song, and I'm screaming, 100%. And I'm just crying because you feel it. Especially when it's a band that you connect with. Everybody 100%. Knows, everybody that's watched the podcast knows how much I like In This Moment. For me, Maria Brink is the vocalist. So every time I go see one of her concerts, I lose my shit. I completely lose my shit. Like,
I get it. I get it. No, I get it.
Where do you find inspiration for your music?
You know, it spreads out, because I write lyrics for another band, and I get that from my life experience and my struggles and relationships and pain and stuff, and when I write music, it all comes from when, you know, I was into Rush and AC/DC and Kiss growing up, and then Y&T, which was a band from my area that I just fell in love with, and then Metallica did, and I was in their town basically. You know, they were from LA and went to New York, and then came to the Bay Area to kind of set up shop there, and that was it for me. I started going to shows when I was young. And then it was Metallica, of course, and then there were a couple of Testament and Exodus I loved, and then I heard a band Death Angel, and I was like, okay. And they had a drummer that was like 14 years old. Andy was like 14 when they got signed, 13 or 14, and I was blown away by these guys, and then. So they put out an album a little later. Of course, it's the album that Death Angel fans and Death Angel themselves don't like, because it was their black album, I guess you want to call it. It was their more mellow album called Act 3, and that one it's probably my favorite album of any album ever. And that album I would listen to and listen to and listen to and listen to, and it was just when I started writing. Although I'm a big Rush fan, Rush is my favorite band. I started writing like Death Angel and like Metallica, and then when Jim came in with his vocals, it took it from straight thrash to more of a power metal thrash metal. So my inspiration definitely came from the music I was listening to and growing up in the Bay Area and being part of the beginning of the thrash wave, and me just really just feeling like I was part of their family. I didn't feel much like many other people's families. So that and a lot of punk rock. I was, going and seeing DRI and MDC and Attitude Adjustment and Verbal Abuse and all those punk bands too. Kind of the crossover of both of those, Suicidal. But it was really the thrash music that spoke to me, that made me feel something, that made me want to write. It's that mid-tempo. There's a song on And Justice for All, Eye of the Beholder, when they finally get into the riff.
Yep.
And you can't not go like, dun, 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 dun. It's like, that is what I want to do to people in every song. And that's why most of our songs are mid-tempo. We do have some with the double time, but we don't overdo the double time. That's why they call it power metal, melodic thrash, with a little bit of that. But so all my inspiration comes from the Bay Area thrash for sure.
Awesome. Well, let's give our listeners a chance to listen to your music. And do you want to play Ruler of Defiance, or do you want to go with Crystal Witch first?
Let's go Ruler first. Go Ruler first, because I want people because that ties into the Bay Area thrash, because Claudius from the band Possessed is playing the main guitar solo on this song for us, and love to share that with everyone.
All right, well, let's listen to this one, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it and give people a little bit of information on everything.
Perfect.
you go, guys.
Awesome.
What an awesome song. I mean, from the breakdowns and everything, the guitar solos. Uh, who does all the vocals? Does Jim do all the...
Jim does, well, Jim does all the, well, Jim does the majority of the lead vocal parts. He's the, he's the lead vocalist. We kind of like Death Angel, I'll tell you, because I was so inspired. There are some songs that I'll come in and sing the pre-chorus or the main vocal line on a pre-chorus, and we'll go back and forth, and then we'll do a harmony in the choruses. That song, I'm doing the parts of the choruses, Puppet Master and Tyranny, and I'm doing that stuff. And Jim does most of that. But then there are a bunch of songs that Jim and I go back and forth and do a little bit of trading off.
And you're the lead guitar in Emissary.
Well, I technically on the Ratchet Masquerade, I do all the guitars except for the middle guitar solo. I did the first one and the last one in that last song, and then Claudius did the middle one as a guest. And then there's one intro to a guitar solo that Charlie, our guitar player, our other guitar player in the band now, did, because he had joined us as we were recording that album. We recorded that. We're recording that as a 4-piece, and I was doing all the rhythms and all the solos and stuff. And then we got Charlie, who I was in when I was in this other band that I'm in, and we were touring in New York. We were touring with another band called Surrender to Eden, and Charlie was the guitar player in that band. And I would watch him every night, and I'd just be like, this guy's like George Lynch, Eddie Van Halen, all these great guitar players all rolled into one. He's the guy that has to play that guitar solo live. I'm more the melodic guy. I do more of the, I'm more of a, I don't know, people are familiar with Chris DeGarmo of Queensryche or a guy like that. I tend to write the solos you can kind of hum and hear. I can play some of the fast stuff, and I do some of the fast stuff, but my brain doesn't write the fast stuff. My brain writes the more melodic stuff. But yeah. Charlie does the fast guitar solo on the next song you'll hear in a little bit. And because he's going to be obviously all over the new album that we're doing now. But as lead guitar goes, I think we're both equal. As shredder goes, Charlie's definitely the shredder in the band. I'm more of the James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine rhythm guy that does some of the soloing. But yeah, it's beautiful to have a guy like Charlie who's just absolutely just an amazing guitar player, and so we share the lead responsibilities.
That's awesome. How do you balance all those obligations? I mean, the 3 cover bands, Emissary, your other band. I mean, how? Well, and now you're here. Do you sleep? Do you?
Well, I don't sleep much. I probably fall asleep around 5 a.m. every morning, and I get up around a little after 10. So that's usually my sleep pattern. Emissary, we basically do stuff in the summer. We really don't do much outside of the summer except for recording and stuff. But I record my guitar stuff in Denver, and I send it out to Oregon. Charlie, the guitar player, he's from New York, but he lives in Wyoming. And luckily, the other 3 guys in the band all live in Southern Oregon, so they can get together when they have to get together. But when it comes time for Emissary stuff, all my other bands know that takes priority when we have a show set up or a festival or whatever. That's what I'm going to go do. But the other stuff's just as important. With I'm in a couple of the tribute bands with similar guys. So the bass player that I'm with is in all 3 of the tribute bands I'm in. So and then there are other guys in the band that are in other bands. So we really have to look at calendars to see who's booked, who can be booked, who's, and the other band is kind of quiet right now. My other original band, when it's time for that, I do my duties, and if we set up a tour, I'll make sure that everything is aligned. I also play drums in my church band, and that doesn't take up too much of my time. So I just surrounded myself with all of this. I meant to do it, and I'll say that.
Sleep, dream music. You do
always.
Everything music.
I mean, It's always in my head, and especially right now, the Linkin Park stuff. It's funny. I can't even I can't go to bed just because I'm learning all the songs right now, and we're rehearsing every week because we have a show coming up, our first show. So I'm just trying to memorize as much as I can. I'm ADHD, so I still need some cheat sheets of the lyrics. But I eat, sleep, drink, breathe music, and
I've been doing these interviews since January, and I still have my cheat sheet of questions. ADHD brain, I completely understand that completely.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us out there. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I will say this. A lot of people, I read people on Facebook sometimes like, oh my gosh, I had to do this and this, and we had a gig and we had to play 3 nights in a row. I'm like, I get it. It can be tiresome and all of that. I will never complain. This is what I chose. This is what I want to do. This is where I'm happiest. I have a wife that is like, when it's time to go tour, she's like, she pushes me out the door. She's like, go, because you're the best version of you when you're doing this stuff. And when you come back, you're happy. And she takes care of everything and makes sure that I'm fully covered and everything's covered when I'm gone. And my other bands are like, when I have to do Emissary stuff, when I get to do Emissary stuff, they're the first ones to say, go. We just won't book when you're gone, and go do that, because they know that it's a dream of mine to be doing
this.
It's
nice to have that support.
I mean, if you don't, you got to shed those people as soon as you get around those people that complain all the time and just, that we didn't get enough money and we didn't, whatever. I will play for free. I know that sets a bad precedent in the tribute and cover world, because then bar owners are like, oh, we can get bands for free. But I want to play. I mean, that's where I'm happiest. And that's what I've led myself to all the way up to this point of my life is all leading up to the next day and the next show that I'm playing. So I'll never complain whether I'm tired, whether it's a lot of stuff. I do a lot of work with the tributes. I make we have backing tracks. When I say that, don't get scared. Not fake vocals or anything. We have backing tracks like Linkin Park. They have a lot of synthesizers and beats and stuff. And we don't have a DJ and a synth player. So I build all of that. And the drummer has a click track and he plays with the click so that it all fits up. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about tracks. But I have to build all of that. And
a lot of bands are using those tracks now. Those backing tracks, there's a lot of bands using them.
And it fills it up. And we're never going to fake it. I'm never going to pretend to sing, ooh, like some bands do. I'll never do that. But I will make sure that it sounds like the album when you're there to see.
Your bassist gets sick one night, it's not too hard to make a click track.
We could do that in a second.
A backing track, that's it, And it's not like you're faking it. The person is sick, you can at least keep doing the show.
Exactly.
Technology we have to see everything as an advancement and stop. And not everybody that uses tracks are lip syncing or.
Correct.
Sometimes you need the backing track. Maria Brink uses a backing track because she can't do her 6 layers at the same time.
Correct. And the people there want to hear it sound like the way that they want to hear it.
Yes.
I do. When Falling in Reverse, last year or whatever, had to cancel some shows because their laptops went missing. Everybody's like, oh, and I was just like, well, I know exactly why they're doing that. What if Disturbed said, hey, we're going to play a show tonight, but you're not going to get any of the supplemental music in Stupefy or any of our songs. You're not going to hear all that swirly, awesome synthesizer
the ambient stuff, the stuff that
people would be like, no, you don't want to go to a Linkin Park acoustic show. Some people might, but you don't, because you want to hear the songs the way you want to hear them. So I fully got when they couldn't do their show because the laptops were missing. And I know a guy that has gone out with big bands. I know a guy that went out with U2 and Lady Gaga, and he runs the tracks. He has 2 laptops. They start at the same time. Because one goes down, the show goes. There's no deviating. Like Lady Gaga can't tell an extra long story because she can't. It's in her ear saying, you've got to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, and he does that, and he does it on the huge scale. And that inspires me. It's like, so luckily I was able to dive into the backing track thing years ago and be able to make all the tracks for all my bands and stuff. And it's Emissary even has a for our ballady sounding song Crash and Burn, we have some violins and stuff that are in there, and our drummer has a click track and so aside even that, with everything I'm doing, yeah, I'm grateful to be doing it. And when I'm not able to do it anymore, or people don't want to see me or hear me do it anymore, that's when I'll be wishing I was dealing with all the frustrations that come along with it.
Who would be your dream collaboration? Dead or alive?
Whew. Dead or alive? Wow. Wow. I would. That. Ouch.
The possibilities are endless.
They are endless. I will go with one. Not dead, but not playing anymore in his band. I mentioned him earlier. I'd say Chris DeGarmo from Queensryche. If I could work with him and we could write some music together and our guitars go together and I could do some harmonies to his stuff or him to mine, that would definitely be one for sure. I think Rob Cavastani from Death Angel, that guitar player too, if I could ever work with him, or even the drummer Andy. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And then there's one other, the singer guitar player for Helmet, Paige Hamilton. He's a guy that, luckily, I was a big Helmet fan, and then we got to work with the producer that did the Helmet album, and then all of a sudden, Paige became a little bit of the Emissary team, where Doug would talk to Paige about maybe some of my guitar stuff, or give me Paige's vocal coach so I could use him. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for some of the people that I might get to one day. And Paige might be a guy that I might get to collaborate with at some point. They're all just, nowadays, people are more accessible. So
Yes.
But I'll say the dream is probably Chris DeGarmo, Queensryche.
What's your favorite childhood memory related to music?
Oh, I will say first concert. First concert when I was either 11 or 12, and I went and saw Sammy Hagar, and it was his Standing Hampton tour, and it was Night Ranger opening on their first album. I believe that this is the case. And then I remember getting there, and I'm in this giant arena with all these people, and everybody's sitting on the floor. And I didn't know that they were going to stand up when the music started. So because I'm not a tall guy, and especially as a kid, I'm not a tall guy. So we're all sitting there, and we're close to the stage, and then the lights go out, and everybody stands, and I'm like, and then my cousin grabbed me and put me on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I was taller than everybody. And then it was Night Ranger. And interestingly enough, Brad Gillis, Night Ranger, jumps off these speakers and lands on the stage. And his hair looked exactly like Sammy Hagar. So I was confused. I was like, is this Sammy? I'm confused. But that concert was the beginning of me knowing. I already knew that I loved music, but now I've been to an arena show, and I knew right there. I was like, dude, I've got to be on that stage one day. I'm going to be on that stage one day. And I haven't been on that particular stage at the Cal Palace in San Francisco, but I've played big stages now, and I've played with famous bands that I grew up loving. So I've reached some of the goals, but definitely as a child, that Sammy Hagar show was the one that got me started.
It gave you a push. It gave you the those big eyes and the kid in a candy store. Like, wow.
It really did. And
Jim is in the house.
Jimbo!
Tuning
There
in
he
late.
is.
That's my boy.
That's right.
Hey, Jim. Welcome.
What's up, Jimbo?
Well, Jim, you're just in time, Jim, for us to listen to your song, The Crystal Witch. Play it so we could talk about it afterwards. Mm-hmm. Here we go. All right.
The Crystal Witch.
guys, The Crystal Witch by Emissary. Tim, let's talk about it a little bit. Was this
Sure.
recorded during a show, or was this for the video?
No, that was actually funny. I have this right here. That was opening for Sebastian Bach in May, like May 28th or 29th. I don't remember. It was the day before Memorial Day, and it was just a couple months ago. And we went to Oregon and opened up for Sebastian Bach of Skid Row, and
Pretty
that was
cool.
like a super dream come true. And
yeah.
that was our debut of that song. Of course, that was the live footage from that and the studio version of that song. And I knew, I've said this before in other interviews, but I knew that a lot of bands put their second album out, and some people think it's not as good as their first. There are exceptions, Metallica, of course, and a lot of other bands, but bands have their whole lives to write their first album, and they have a year to write their second album. That little saying. I really took that into consideration. I was writing this before, right before we put out Wretched Masquerade, but it didn't make it on that album because we weren't finished. We wanted to put only old material on the first album. We wanted a Master of Puppets. I did, at least. I wanted 8 songs because we have vinyl coming out soon for the Wretched Masquerade, and I just wanted 4 songs aside, just like Master of Puppets. And so writing it then, but then I was perfecting it, and I really wanted it to have a build-up.
Yeah.
Most of my songs I like to have a big build-up, a nice bridge, slow it down, speed it up. But I really did want it to be impactful. And then when we decided, let's get this song out. We can't get the album out, but let's get the whole song. Let's at least get a song out right around the same time as we're playing with Sebastian, and we were able to do that. And we really wanted to go more vocals. Def Leppard's a band. I'm not a big Def Leppard fan at all. I do like their older stuff, and but I respect them as musicians and the walls of vocals. And on this song, we really wanted to kind of get a little more technical. I'm a better player than I was, back in the 90s when I was writing the Wretched stuff. But, we just wanted a song. And Charlie, our other guitar player, of course, he kept saying, there's something about the song. There's something about the song. There's something special about the song. And so I wrote all the music and sent it to him. And I said, here's your solo area. From this to this, go for it. And he just wrote the absolute perfect shredding solo for it.
You are right. He could shred.
This guy, it just, I just I don't even want to play guitar when I'm around the guy. But he gives me a lot of credit too, which is nice. I told him, I said, here's all the Emissary stuff to learn for the Tesla show. It's going to be easy. And he was like, no, it's not easy, dude. The way you write isn't easy. Because I don't really use theory. I use my ear. And I don't do it the way I think some people that are into theory think you should do it. So he's like, that part didn't make sense to me, to my brain. And he'd call me, and I just, so many phone calls with him and videos, like, this is how I do that, again, I pretty much taught myself guitar. So I do things a little unorthodox, than some people do, but together, I mean, I this is the dream fit, I think him and we complement each other, and my strength is the rhythm and his strength is the solo, and I can do a little solo and he can do some of the rhythm stuff, but together we know our place. And we really wanted Crystal Witch to be impactful, and we wanted people to not forget about us. Wretched Masquerade did pretty well. The numbers it did, we were like blown away. We were on a tour bus on the way to Chicago to play with the band Riot and Nasty Savage and a bunch of bands at Legions of Metal. And we're watching as we released Wretched, and we're watching, and we get up the next day and it's like 2,000. We get up next day, 5,000. We're like, I expected like 2 or 5, not 2,000 and then 5,000 and then, 10,000, 15, 30, in a year, we're close to, I don't even know where we're like close to 40,000, but because it slowed down, but 40,000 people listening to our album, and we're not even a known band.
I mean, that's incredible.
So we're lucky. We wanted Crystal. We wanted people to say, okay, this is Emissary. Awesome. and we wanted it to be a little more technical and just a lot more vocals and see what we could do with it.
Absolutely. Why not? Why not
Yeah,
push the boundaries? You know, like
Yeah,
don't stay in your comfort zone. Push those boundaries.
you have to at times. You have to grow. People get mad at bands for evolving. I understand sometimes if a band goes way
Yes.
way out in left field with something, but when the Black Album came out and people are just so whining about it, I'm just like, dude, you know what? You really like those first four? Go listen to them. That's the beauty. You can listen to them anytime you want for the rest of your freaking life. So,
I mean, you can't blame the artist for wanting to try something. Like in this
No.
moment, scream, scream, scream. Then they did one album where she doesn't scream; it's singing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it because I'm a clean vocal singer. I
Yeah.
don't really do any screams. I do a few screams, but
Sure.
just for funs. But I'm a clean vocal singer. So when I heard that album, I was like, yay! And then she
Right?
came out again with another album, and she's full on screaming it again. And I was like, oh yes, let's go. I like it.
You
But
gotta
you gotta let them play around and
you gotta let
try.
them. You gotta let them do that, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I tend to like a lot of the albums that are the slower, more mellow, more melodic vocals from bands. That's just where I'm at. Yeah. And also with Crystal Witch, I will say that, we weren't necessarily taking this from Master of Puppets, but, Crystal Witch isn't about a witch. It's about crystal meth and a lot of innuendos and a lot of, if you now go listen to it, knowing it's about crystal meth and addiction, now go listen to the lyrics and you'll be like, whoa, because Jimbo's like, I say this and it's weird. I'm in a band with two people that I say are my favorite lyricist and my favorite bass player.
So
He's my favorite bass player.
Your
And-
next
and-
question should be easy for you. Who's been
Okay.
the most influential mentor in your life?
Why are these absolutely so difficult?
Because these are not questions that you're usually asked during
No.
interviews. People usually want to know, what kind of guitar do you play?
Correct.
Here we want to know more about you. Like, okay, we can probably look around and I'm sure I could find the information on what kind of guitar you play or what kind
Sure.
of this is going a little deeper personally.
Yeah.
The fans like to get to know people, so I like to go a little deeper.
Wow. I mentor, that's really tough. I would say within music, I met some guys when I first moved to Denver that were older than me, and they kind of walked me through things and taught me kind of the business side of it. But I would say within like what pertains to my life now, it's interesting, and I'm going to get just destroyed for saying this, but I do kind of look at Jimbo, and I look at some of the things Jimbo does and the way he lives his life, and I take some cues from that, just to think things through a little more than I would normally think things through, and he does that. He may go down the rabbit hole a little deeper than I probably would, but it's still showing he's working on himself, and I usually wouldn't do that. I didn't like what I saw when I would look too deeply at myself. But Jim's a guy that when he sees something that he doesn't love about himself or some situation in his life, he'll dive right in and fix it. And I'm probably not going to talk to those guys for a long time after saying this, because it's embarrassing to say that. But yeah, through this, it's probably a peer with Jim, who I
Jim's
work
still
with.
here. Jim
so
says,
closely.
Timmy says cool things. Love you, bro. Like,
Love you too, man.
You'd be surprised how many people actually answer this question with somebody in their band, with their manager, with it's together. You do music together. You know what I mean? Like, this is normal. Renita, what's up? It's completely normal to look at your bandmates as like mentors, as people that can influence your behavior in a good or in a bad way. I mean, that's, fun question. You can build your own tour lineup. We got 5 bands, including Emissary.
Okay.
Who are we going to see tonight?
Well, if I have like full carte blanche to to let one band headline over another.
Anybody.
Okay. People would think I'd say Rush. Kiss is the headliner. Metallica. Then I would put Y&T, Death Angel, and then I would have Emissary open that show.
All right, there we go. See, that's a good lineup. It's a very good lineup.
Yeah.
All right, an evil curse is placed on you. You can only listen to one song for the rest of your life. What are you listening to?
Okay. Oh, man. All right. You know what? Oh, man, I can't believe what this is. Biggest Part of Me by the band Ambrosia from the 70s.
Okay.
Very not metal.
I mean, it doesn't have to be metal.
Yep.
You have to listen for the rest of your life.
That's
pick
the
wisely.
Yep.
So you did shows. You're doing shows. Do you have a ritual that you do before you hit the stage? Do you have anything special?
Well, again, I do so much different stuff. So when it's guitar playing, I warm up very lightly. I don't warm up much. But no matter what band I'm in, usually I make sure we have an intro piece that plays before we go on to kind of draw the energy and get everybody excited, and then we go out. Sometimes we've had to skip over that, but I would say since the Emissary stuff and my tribute stuff, as the intro music plays, now sometimes Emissary we don't have the intro music play, so I'll do it right before, but I don't know if it's meditating, but I take some deep breaths and I just say to myself, this is what you've wanted to do your whole life. Go out and do it. And like I have to think we're playing in an arena or a stadium, whatever. And then I always tell myself, find the one person that's getting super off and just focus on that person and trade energy. But I'm not an alcoholic and I'm not a big drinker. I drink only when I play music. So I would say since I play more in my tribute bands and stuff, when the instrument, the intro music starts and the lights are out and the fog's going, I do a part of a shot of Rumpelminz, which is 100 proof, like peppermint schnapps type drink. It kind of warms my throat and it definitely takes a little bit of the edge off right there, makes me kind of feel a little good. And then I take my deep breath and I go out and start doing it. But that's it. I probably do half a shot of Rumpelminz, but I do that at every show. So Emissary, no matter what it is, I have it in a water bottle because it's clear. And I hope nobody's watching that I play their clubs or their venues, because I take two water bottles. One has some Rumpelminz in it, one has water, and nobody can tell. So I just bring in my own bottles, have it on stage, do a little bit, and do that. So that's my ritual, is to actually drink a little something that warms the throat, makes me feel like it opens it up and takes my edge off.
Absolutely. It is kind of a little ritual. If it's done at every show, before every show, that's your thing. That's
Yeah.
How do you define success as an artist?
Ooh. Well, I used to define it when I was young as like, get a record deal, get a big advance, and have a big house and a lot of girls wanting to hang out with me.
Yeah.
And a lot of money and be famous and all of that. That's what it used to be. I feel like beyond successful now. Success for me is reaching some of the goals that I had as a little kid. When I was a kid in my bedroom, every inch of my wall was filled with pictures from Kerrang, Circus, Hit Parader. There wasn't a space. And when I got a new magazine, I actually had to take off freaking one piece to put another picture up. It was so frustrating. But to be little things like that, like I've been in a few magazines now, and my picture being in a rock magazine, that is success. People listening to music that I helped create, that's success. Biggest for me is opening for bands that I used to see in arenas when I was a kid. Wait in line for 6 hours to get as close to the stage so I could just be as close as I could. When I was younger, it was more important than the music was to get a pick. a guitar pick, a drumstick, a set list, some piece of the band that I can take home that not everybody has. And I have I don't know if you can see it up there. There's a white frame that has guitar picks from some of the greatest guitar players ever. All of them came from shows. I missed shows because I used to stand by the backstage door out in the concourse begging like crew members, can you get me a, and a lot of the times it worked. All of that stuff meant so much to me. And I remember all of those shows that I used to go to. Rat was one that I dreamt of opening for Rat one day because I was just such a big Rat fan. And Tesla was a band I used to follow with my friend. We would drive all around California and catch like 4 or 5 shows. And I'm just one day, and then all of a sudden, 20, 30 years later, I'm opening for Tesla. I'm opening for Piercy of Rat. I'm opening for, Sebastian of Skid Row, open for Dawkins. These are all my favorite bands. And being able to do that, open for Warrant, I've opened for Raven. I've, just so many things have come true. So for me, success is reaching goals. And I would say success is people liking what I helped create. Having a kid write under one of our videos, hey, can I get the guitar tablature for that song? That's success to me. A kid writing from some other country, hey, can I get one of your guitar picks? That is success to me. So anything that has to do with me reaching goals that I had when I was a little kid that I said, I'm going to do this. And then now I've done some of those things. So to me, that's success. And of course, success is still being able to get on stage, at my age, this long after starting bands with some of the same people that I played on stage the first time ever with, like my first time ever on stage, I'm getting to now play on stage with some of those same people that were on stage with me the first time I got to play. That's success to me.
That's incredible. That's and the guitar picks, I mean, I love it. It's I have my own little shrine starting.
See?
As we could see. Yeah.
Yes.
From all the indie bands that we're going to see right now. So
that's awesome.
All right. Well, we're getting near the end of the interview.
Okay.
So I have a few more questions, and I'm going to hit you with the NYXUS question, which we ask at every episode. I'm going to tell it to you now just so it marinates a little bit in your head.
Sure.
So the NYXUS question is going to be, what advice would you give your younger self if you had a chance to sit with a younger version of you? So little Tim.
Okay.
All right. So what are the plans for the next coming months?
So the Emissary plans, I would say, I've been just so incredibly busy with, school starting, and I have kids, and my wife works, and I'm the one that picks the kids up and stuff. I cook dinners. I'm the one that cooks all the dinners and all of that stuff, does the grocery shopping, and I'm great with that because I'm blessed to have music as my career, to where my days are filled with things that I enjoy. Finishing the next few songs for the new album, and I keep saying I'm about to do it, and then something comes up and I don't. So for Emissary, it's for sure I have to start doing the guitars. In fact, today I started. You can't really see it back there, but my amp's all set. I set up the stuff on the computer, and I'm now ready to start tracking. So I'm going to start tracking that, and then once I do that, I send it off to Jim, and then all the other guys, and we start piecing the songs together. So that's it. I don't really see any. I don't know if we'll have any shows coming up. Every once in a while, something's offered, and then we all have to kind of talk about it to see if we're going to play any shows. But usually, we'd probably take off until next spring before any kind of shows will pop up for us. But really, just get the album going.
Awesome. Where can we find you guys on social media?
Yep, we are. If you look up the original Emissary, we couple
right here
bands.
For Facebook.
Yeah, a couple bands had named themselves Emissary after we had broken up, and I don't think they were doing it because, hey, that band's broken up. But some other emissaries popped up, and we wanted to let people know that we're the first Emissary. We're the real original Emissary, and so it's the original Emissary. I think Bandcamp, it's probably the same. The original Emissary. Jimbo's on here. He'll probably tell you that I'm wrong.
Yep.
But
No, the original Emissary.
okay.
I'm going through it as we're talking.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, probably all of them will be tied to the original Emissary. I
All
think.
right. Well, if you go on the Facebook, right there, you'll find right away
Yeah.
the Facebook page, and here's the Bandcamp. So you guys
Thank you.
just go on the original Emissary, and from there you're going to be able to find everything. And don't forget Bandcamp every first Friday of the month. Go
Bandcamp Friday?
buy an album.
Bandcamp
goes
Fridays.
Straight to the pocket of the artist that you love. So every first Friday of the month, even if you buy one song, guys,
Yep.
skip on your coffee for that day. Hell, Starbucks coffee is about $8, so
Yeah,
skip
you
for
can-
that Starbucks and get an album.
Definitely.
I mean, it's this is how we support the artists right now, is with Bandcamp, is with buying their merch, because streaming platforms do not pay
No.
the artists properly. But if we keep buying their merch and doing stuff like Bandcamp is doing, I mean, this is really cool.
Definitely.
You guys have merch that we can get?
Usually we have some sprinklings of some T-shirts and stickers and buttons sometimes and CDs. I believe we have some of that stuff right now. Usually after a tour or after grouping of shows, we have new shirts made, and then whatever we kind of have left, we throw on there. Sometimes we'll make some shirts just for Bandcamp and just to have. So usually, yeah, if you check that out, you should
there
be
you
able to
go.
find.
We could see some right now
There
on
you go.
Bandcamp. Just go to Bandcamp, guys, and right there you can see, what do we have? CDs, T-shirts, long sleeves, three-quarter sleeves. I mean, cassettes. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Definitely cassette. Yep.
Patches. Everybody likes a nice patch.
Right.
That jacket and have all those patches on. But yeah, just check it out, guys. And like I
Thank
said,
you.
first Friday of the month is when you want to
Yeah.
do this. Before I ask you the NYXUS questions,
Sure.
do you have anybody you would like to shout out, thank, anybody, anything that you want to tell to people that might be listening now and
Sure.
will be listening later when we put it on streaming platforms?
Sure, of course. First I'll start with Jimbo. Him and I met and became fast friends, and we put this band together, and it flowed really well. In the beginning, we were not fully sure of the genre we were going to end up, because we had some more straightforward rock stuff, and then we had some thrashy stuff, and then all of a sudden, it all kind of melded into the little bit heavier stuff, and then we kind of knew our proper direction there. But Jimbo for sure. We didn't talk for a long time, but I had always thought about him because we were such close friends for so long. And I always knew that Emissary was going to be. I always knew Emissary was something special, and I just had an inkling that one day, even if I'm in my 60s or 70s, something is going to happen. Whether it's going to release an old demo, just something was going to happen with it, and I'm glad that it has happened with him. Peter Sean Kenny, our bass player, Tony Mullins, and Charlie Francipane too. Those guys, they're all committed, and they're all part of the best version of this band, and the tightest and the most driven version that we've ever had. And I'm super grateful for them. I do want to say my wife, who is the one that I've been in so many bands where guys have quit because their wives or girlfriends are just like, you spend too much time doing that. I want to go camping this weekend, and you have a show. And I'm not bagging on that. Whatever, to each his own. But my wife never has said, you need to go get a regular career and cut this. She's never done that because she just
believes
knows
in you. She believes in you. She loves you for who you are and what you want in life, and that's
100%.
beautiful.
She's very proud of me, and she's part of it. She's the one that puts together the CD, down my brain, the little booklet in the CD, and
Yes.
she does all the putting it all together properly and sends it off to the printer, and makes our albums look awesome. Don Utomi, who is the artist who did the cover for The Crystal Witch and The Wretched Masquerade. This artist is amazing. He's worked with, he did some work with Megadeth at one point, and my brain can't remember a bunch of bands. I'm sure Jim will pop in and say the bands, but he's an amazing artist. He took our vision and perfectly created exactly what we were looking for. So I want to thank Dawn. I want to thank Tim Lowe, who's an amazing promoter out in Oregon. That's really, if it weren't for him, it would have been hard for us to kind of relaunch, if you will.
Yeah.
He gave us some opportunities and put us on some big stages that allowed us to get back out there and see some of our, I don't like the word fans, but Jim tells me not to think it's too pretentious. So I'll say to let our fans come back and get to see us again. Doug Hill, who's the, I don't like the word producer because I don't know if I use it correctly, but the guy that mixes our stuff and gives us input, and Jamie King, who masters it. Those guys are important. And all of the guys I'm in bands with, any band that I'm in, they all believe in me for some reason. I really struggle with myself and self-esteem, and I just put my head down a lot, like I'm not doing good enough. I'm struggling, and all those guys just grab me.
You
pat
have
me on
a
the back or grab me.
You have a beautiful aura. There's an energy about you, and I think that's what everybody associates with.
I think my wife has said that. My wife has said I have a lot of people that I'm in bands with that are like fans of mine, that are like, I want him in my band always. And even if I've tried to quit one band, they're like, there's no way. I'm like, but I'm not doing it well enough. And they're like, dude, you're doing it exactly the way you need to be doing it. You're fine. But I have to do some tough stuff out here. The tribute stuff is hard because you have a lot of people that know these songs and love these bands that are looking at you. And when you're up there doing Chester from Linkin Park, who's passed away, and people are like, can you even pull that off? Luckily, I think I can, but I have all the people around me in all of my bands that are always.
Can you get that 17-second scream that he does?
You know what?
That one song is a killer. I mean,
correct. Given up, and I'm working on it. I'm at about 12, 13 seconds.
Nice.
But I have to say this, and I'm sorry, Chester, I love you. That's a studio thing. He didn't really do that in the studio. He actually, they pieced that because I saw a thing on it. Now live, he comes pretty close, and with the delay I have on my voice, I hit the delay correctly, and it keeps it going. So I can, as I sing that in Given Up, and it's the bridge of Given Up. After I scream the God part, and then I wait, and then I do the parts, and then Ms. Right, and I have to just hold it, and then wait for the music to go down, and then I have to go down. I'm getting close, and live, I promise that people will not be disappointed.
I mean, like you said, it's a studio thing. It is a studio thing.
But go watch some of the live stuff. Chester, I have become the biggest Chester fan because this guy is absolutely one of the top 10 singers that has ever been in any band, and people will probably snicker at that. Now that guy, his beautiful, pretty voice, and mixing it with because I have to scream and then I have to sing pretty. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy thing, and I have to do a lot of work to get myself to scream and then come in pretty and soft and then scream, and it's very hard. And I'm just I hope our debut ends up working out. But the guys in the band seem to clap every time I do Given Up. They stop and they're like, they do that. So that's
not an easy song.
It's helpful.
And not just that scream in general, like you said, going back from the cleans back to the screams.
And people are going to be waiting for that, and I know that. I'm not, And again, the tribute scene out in Denver is a big deal. There are some amazing, you'd be like, oh my goodness, this band sounds exactly. And so I understand the pressure, and I understand that Chester has passed away, and I understand that there's nobody wants to hear somebody come in and butcher that stuff. So I feel that pressure. I know there are going to be a lot of people on our debut, and September 23rd we play our show, and it's going to be big. And I know that people are going to wait for that scream, and so by that time, I will have it.
Absolutely, but like we said, though, people can't always remember that recording in studio and a live performance is not the same.
Definitely.
Once again, Maria Brink in this moment just came out with The Purge. She holds in studio a scream for 22 seconds.
That's
I think.
Nuts. Yeah.
When she does it in show, she does it in 2 screams. So she screams, she takes a sharp breath, and she goes again. Give her a chance. I don't think anybody can. This is crazy.
Amazing. Yep.
what I think that's what we have to remember as fans and as people that go see shows is remember the studio and remember the live performance.
Correct.
They always give you as much as they can. There's just, we're humans and we have a limitation.
Oh, 100%. And I only mention that it's a studio thing for my own benefit. For people to be like, wait, he only went 16 seconds and Chester went 17. You know, it's like, okay, but I will go 17 on our debut. I promise.
There we go. There we go. If you can get somebody to video that, I would love to see that performance.
It will definitely be videoed, so I'll make sure you get a copy for sure, or a link.
Awesome. Yes, I will share it, and I'm a big Chester fan. I'm a big Linkin Park fan. So
me too now, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so we're down to the nitty gritty.
Okay.
The NYXUS question.
Okay.
So that's, if you get a chance to sit down with a younger version of you at any age, what would you tell yourself?
Well, I this is easy and hard at the same time. I would, for, probably a couple things, but I would, the main number one thing is, dude, just as you're growing up, just don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your ability. And when people compliment you, take that compliment as they mean it, because a lot of people aren't going to go up to somebody at a show that they don't know and tell them they're doing a good job, that you're a great singer, or whatever it is. A lot of people have a hard time doing that because they have to swallow their own pride to go compliment somebody. My wife says that to me all the time. And just take those and stop doubting yourself. There's a reason that you're still doing this, and there's a reason that people still come and see you. It's the self-doubt that gets me still, and I forget those things, that I should just take the compliments and be appreciative. And I always am. I'm always like, I'm not even worthy. Thank you so much. And I always throw in something like, yeah, I don't know, I think I'm kind of struggling. And I always throw those things in, and I would tell myself, don't do that to yourself. Just stop telling yourself that you're just not good enough, because you wouldn't be doing the stuff if you weren't. And if you do that too much, you're going to just miss out on a lot of opportunities because you're going to be too scared.
Absolutely. And that's good advice. The biggest reason why I ask this question at every episode is because we never know who might be listening.
Sure. 100%.
That could need to hear those words. That could, we've had all kinds of advice with that question. So I'm hoping it could help some people get through life, get through a hard pass. I mean, life is hard enough that if we can help each other and bring each other up, I think it's important.
I love that. It's beautiful, because actually with the Linkin Park tribute, we're not just a tribute. We want to kind of shed a light on depression and mental illness and people knowing they're not alone. And there are actually a few things I'm going to say throughout the show, and there are a few clips we're going to play in between songs to give myself a break, of course, of Chester talking about some things in his life. And we want to make it a little more of a Linkin Park experience and honoring Chester at the same time. So I love that you said that, because that's kind of what I'm about right now too. Thanks.
It's important. It's very important. And I say it at every show, and I'll keep saying it at every show, because you never know who might be listening.
Sure.
If you don't want to talk to somebody, if you're having problems, if you're feeling down, there's numbers that you could call for free. You don't know the people, you could say whatever you want. They're not there to judge you.
Correct.
My inbox is always open. Always.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Always. Anybody can message me. I will answer as soon as I can. Life is busy. I have kids.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, we have a full server for the Discord, on Discord for the NYXUS podcast that you guys, anybody could join. And there's always somebody there to talk to. So we're big on the community right now. On Facebook, there's a nice indie community that kind of formed up together, and they're very strong. The Ziggurats, part of them, Death Pigeon, Anger Overdose, and a bunch of other bands. And it's like everybody's helping each other blow up and glow up. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah.
So before I let you go,
Sure.
I would like to re-invite you and Emissary once you guys have finished your second album, so we can talk, so we can. No, I'm not done yet. Almost done, baby. Okay. He opened the door. Are you done yet?
Awesome.
But we want to re-invite you guys and catch up and see how you guys are doing, the tours. We can talk about the cover bands. Whenever you want, Tim, the door is always open for you.
That's beautiful. We would love to definitely accept that invitation because had a lot of fun doing this.
Awesome. Well, you have my number, so just whenever you guys are ready, I will have you back. Tim, Mothman, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
This was the NYXUS Podcast. Guys, you know where to catch us. We'll be back on Friday, 7 p.m. And I will be in touch with you, Tim, to send you a copy of the interview and everything.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being there.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. And to everybody out there, check out Emissary, and we appreciate all the fans.
Absolutely. Guys, anybody that was there during the show, you guys rock. I fucking love you. I couldn't do this without you guys. Make sure you follow Emissary, the original Emissary.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Thanks. See you guys.